Giants fans, what's going on? It is your guy, Spartan Mike. I am back filling tonight for Craig. He is right now at Michigan State University, which is the number one college in the country. And he's there this week. He was off last week. I'm giving him the rest. We're going to have a nice rapid-fire episode tonight. I'm going to be joined tonight by Alex and Truth, and we are going to go player by player, talk about what their goals should be for the 2023 year. And then see if there's any agreements or debates about it, all right? So I'm going to start with Truth. Truth, what's going on? It's good to have you, brother.
What's going on, Spartan? Good to be here. Yeah, I'm happy to be here, guy.
It's always good to be here, guys, and we always do a draft show in the spring, so it's fun when me and Truth get together because we obviously mesh pretty well and always kind of bring it in terms of analysis. In fact, some of the players that we're talking about tonight, I can name one right off the top of my head, but we went over 2 years ago when we did our first draft show. So looking forward to discussing that one. Next up, we're going to bring in a couple months into the team now. Alex, what is happening, dude?
What's going on, man? Yeah, I feel like this is like my second time on the Monday show. I'm really excited about it, dude.
All right. And we are coming live from Chicago. Truth is in North Carolina, and then Alex is in Houston there. So we're bringing this Giants content from all over town, are we not?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
And then real quick, I just want to give shout out to everybody that was jumping in the room immediately. Darius Smith, you're always in here, brother. We appreciate you. Mark Stewart, same exact thing, man. It is great to have you in here. Chris, what is up, brother? Thank you guys all for attending. You know, we got the 4th of July weekend, and just appreciate everybody that comes through to the show, obviously. So look, what we're doing tonight is this. We're going to go player by player on the Giants, and we are going to assess what their goals should be for the 2023 year. If there's anything in particular or anything they should strive for. Look, we went 9-7-1 last year. And I personally think that the goal for the Giants, even though they have a tougher schedule, which everyone's talking about, they should really strive for 11-6. And it's going to take a lot of these things hitting, these goals that we're going to discuss, in order to achieve that. So without further ado, why don't we just start with the one guy that a lot of people want to talk about, and quite honestly, we might lose a ton of people after this name is up. Alex, this one is for you. I will bring it in. Daniel Jones. What does he need to do to improve? In my personal opinion, not specific to his improvement, but what I want him to do next year is really stretch the field. He had a great year last year in terms of executing crucial situations, executing comebacks, and not turning the ball over. He really cleaned that up from a couple years ago. But what I want to see him do is, against crappy teams, go out there and really lob up some touchdowns and some yards. Against the average teams, go out there and be that leader, workhorse, if you will, and still have pretty dominant performances. Obviously, you can't expect 5 touchdown, Kerry Collins, 2,000 Vikings. It's not going to happen. And then the last but not least, when he's playing the very difficult teams like the Eagles, I want him to go out there, show up, and play scrappy football. And even if it's a bad loss, he's not getting protection, not getting coverage. Wide receivers get open. I want him to have a game like Mahomes against the Buccaneers in the Super Bowl a couple years ago. What are your thoughts? What do you think that Jones has to aim for next year?
I mean, you pretty much hit the nail on the head to me. Like, he's got to be able to throw that ball downfield. I think they really played it safe with him last year, and I think this coaching staff is going to kind of have to let him loose a little bit with getting him the weapons that he has, where he didn't have that last year. They kind of tried to. He was kind of babied a little bit, and then you saw him in the playoffs where that Minnesota game, he really got to shine. I think you're going to have to see him do a lot more with his arm than with his legs this season. Mm-hmm. Don't just become he became one-dimensional in games where we would, like, if you could stop Daniel Jones on his legs, you could kind of stop him in general, make us work on those checkdowns. But, yeah, if we can get those deep balls going, and I think we've got the threats down there, I think that's really, like, what I want to see out of him as well.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. It's exactly that. Prove to be a force in the offense. A lot of this is going to come from the offensive coordinator, Kafka. He was very conservative early in the year last year. Last several games, the playoffs, he extended the playbook a little bit, and Jones did successfully ball out. Everyone's going to say he played the Colts, he played the Vikings, crappy defenses. I don't care. That's what he did.
He played.
He played and he balled out. That's what we need consistently next year against those types of teams. All right, on to the next guy. Truth. Over to you. We are going to assume Saquon comes back healthy. He had a stellar year last year. I personally think that he needs to hit the hole a little bit more. If there's one thing that he's got to work on, it's hitting the hole. Did much better at it last year than years before. in terms of, don't shuffle behind the line too much. I know that's his strength to really, make the defenses break ankles. But we don't want to lose yards here. Truth, I want to hear your thoughts on what Barkley can improve on.
Well, of course, every conversation should always start with the health. If he can stay healthy, of course, that's a benefit of the Giants because he's a very productive back. He needs to, for me, he needs to have a similar year he had last year. He doesn't need the top 1,300 yards rusher, but he needs to put a little fear into the defenses where they can't just worry about one part of the Giants offense. And I think they're going to open it up. You guys spoke about Jones. I think they're going to open up the playbook more. I think adding a few players who you're probably going to bring up later on is going to help both Jones and Barkley offensively and their production. So I can see, I think as Giant fans, we're going to be overly surprised on how more creative they're going to be offensively. I think Kaplan is going to open up the book more. Playbook.
Yeah. No, I'm totally with that and expanding because he can do both on the run and the pass and everything like that. Just utilize him to be a weapon. And I think Kafka did a very good job of it last year. Hope to see him even do better this year. All right, next guy. Over to you, Alex. Here's my goal for Isaiah Hodgins next year. Don't be a wide receiver one by default because there's simply nobody else. Be a wide receiver one because you're playing at a wide receiver one caliber play in the NFL. Improve yourself to that point. That's what I want to see out of him. What are your thoughts?
I completely agree with you in that. And I'm not even thinking like wide receiver one. If he's a 2, 3, anything, just show that he's a starting NFL guy right here for a regular team that he's not just a guy that's getting starts because we're on practice squad players and he's trying to compete with Richie James. Show us that you can beat out the other guys on the roster. Show us you deserve to be a starting NFL wide receiver. I absolutely think he does. And I think that we're going to get we're going to look back at the season that Isaiah had last year and be like, man, that was just the beginning of this. He reminds me so much of Victor Cruz and so many little things he did where he kind of just came along and then just I remember being at that Houston game when you were like, who the hell is he? Okay, cool. And just and then seeing how much he was our offense when it came down to crunch time in that Minnesota game and everything like that. So show that you're starter and cement your spot on this team.
Yeah. I think as a fan, I'll be very happy if he just picks up where he left off last year, the way he played. But I agree with you guys. I think he's going to take it up a little bit, a notch. And I think the supporting cast, the new additions are going to help that for him. I can see him gaining 600 to 700 yards next year easily. I can see that being a reasonable stat line for him.
He was baptized by fire, and I've never seen another Giants player improve so much within the year, like in terms of how he started versus how the year finished than him. He really did a killer job with that.
And there was never just a bad, he had mediocre games, but there was never a Isaiah costing us a game situation that you kind of found that out throughout last year. So it was he was always reliable kind of whenever you had to throw it at him.
Yeah. Was he Calvin Johnson open? No, but he just he did execute when we need him to, especially in some critical games there. So love what he brought to the table. Hope he can bring more next year.
And keep in mind, he doesn't have to be a wide receiver one because I think the Giants – and their philosophy, that's going to be Waller. I think he's going to be considered as their primary guy.
I can see that.
So you don't have to. I mean, I don't know. Teams always say you got to have a big number one guy. If you have a lot of quality players, you could be a good team. You could. So I'm looking forward to him this year. See how he does.
Yep. Nope. I agree. Next guy we got up here is Darius Slayton. My ideal perception of what he can bring, healthy, everything like that, like you're saying, Truth. Could he be 2007, 2009 Steve Smith for the Giants? Could he be that guy, or is that a little bit too much to ask for? I think Darius Slayton. I think it's been a while since he's established himself as that caliber player.
Yeah, well, he's a little more of a long threat type of receiver, right? Smith was your possession guy.
I think the height difference. I
got you. Well, I think I know. Again with Slayton because of the additions. The value that we need from him isn't so great, even though we want him to have a good year. He's not up on the top of the totem pole now. He's more down to where I think he should be, like a number 3 kind of guy. So I think with him stretching the field with, these slants that he does, it's going to just create more open for other players. And again, 500 yards, 400 to 500 yards, I think is very reasonable for him this year.
Sure. Slayton has been Jones' wide receiver 1, even though he has never had the wide receiver 1 numbers. It's weird, but it's true. He kind of
nobody else. He's right.
Yeah,
nobody else.
Yeah, hardly anybody to cycle through there. All right, guys, we got a few receivers to push through. We're doing mostly starters, receiver, and defensive back is the only position where we got a little bit more convolution here. The next player I wanted to bring up is for you, Alex, Parris Campbell. My goal in my head for him is, everybody talks about the potential he has, right? Like he could be a legit wide receiver. You just need to go back. Well, go out there and prove that you were being held back. That's what it is. We don't want to hear it anymore. I'm not saying he has personally been complaining, but it's like, all right, you're on a team that's good enough now to enable you to succeed. Let's see it happen. Let's see him ball out. What are your thoughts?
Like they always say, you had that dog in you. Like prove that you got that dog in you, because Parris Campbell is my favorite guy that we've signed in the entire offseason. Like I'm so excited for that dude. That one catch he had against us was just like that. Like give us that all the time. Just like now, just give us that. Give us those superstar plays. Like he's a playmaker. Like when Odell would make those plays where you just look back at it, like how the hell did you catch that? He's that guy. Go show us that you're the athlete that you can be. I think he's got all the talent to do that, and I think Daniel Jones is gonna love this dude. Show us you got that dog in you this year.
Show us you got that dog, brother. I completely agree with that. Next guy, again, we got 2 more receivers, then we're moving. Or I'm sorry, 3 more receivers, then we're moving on. Jalin Hyatt. Truth, this is what I'm saying for Jalin. It's funny because we assessed him before he came to the team, right? We don't look back too often. Nikki did not like him too much, and she did a lot of analysis on the guy. What I want from him is to prove the draft scouts wrong. It's come up from him. It's come back from his, people that were fans of him when he was at Tennessee that, he got overlooked. Look, every scout in the NFL passed you over twice. I want him to go out there and we can complain about getting passed over. I get it. Prove him wrong. And he's totally capable of doing it, but go out there and just freaking do it. He doesn't have to make the all-rookie team, but show that he's a formidable wide receiver and bring value to the Giants day one. What are your thoughts?
Well, here's the good thing here. Because of the additions the Giants made, it put him in a position where he doesn't have to be the guy coming out as a rookie. So that's a lot of pressure for any college kid, whatever position you play. And I think that's going to be. I think Dable and Kappa are going to put him in good situations where he'll succeed, not to fail, which is good. And of course, we all know his big attribute is vertical, and there's nothing wrong with that. And listen, I don't see him. I don't think he'll. I don't know if he'll play enough to make the all-rookie team. I don't know. A lot of good kids got drafted this year who are going to see more playing time. But I do think that he's going to surprise a lot of people, and he's going to make a nice impact in the Giants receivers in some way. He's going to be, whether it's vertical or making that big catch.
Yeah,
I think he's going to contribite. It's like what you want to see in your rookies. To just contribute as a rookie.
Right. Amen. 3rd round pick. Not expecting all that much in 3rd, 5th round picks in general, but go out there and be bring some value to the team. That's all we could ask for. Receiver 1, probably not, but maybe one day he could be, and that's what we're hoping for. Obviously,
he's definitely not a third round talent. I can tell you that.
Hey, that was a significant drop.
That is, I absolutely think, is the best thing that happened to him, than going in the 3rd round. Because if he's a 1st-round receiver, then that pressure to be that guy is there, and just to be like, okay, hey, we'll see how it goes.
Now
no
he's
pressure,
got the chip on his shoulder too, right? He's going to play pissed off here, and I love that. All right, next guy, wide receiver. It is challenging for me to find things for him to be goals for Sterling Shepard. I would love for him to just come back and be the wide receiver 2 that he was. I don't think he can do that. He's been hurt so frequently. But at the very least, be an effective leader for the offense, for the team. And then I think, in years to come, I think he's going to be working for the organization. And then he's going to be a coach one day. He's going to be a very good offensive coordinator.
Absolutely.
Mark my words. I mean, what are your thoughts, Alex?
I don't know. Is it weird? Because like I feel like nobody gets hurt more than him, but then he also like bounces back faster than anyone ever. Because him running, have you seen the highlights of him just in the workouts they've been doing? Because he has the most like, oh my god, what is he doing? Highlights where he just makes catches and he looks like a stud out there. And like, yeah, okay, yeah, he gets hurt all the time. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I just him being able to do stuff and all the highlights you see of him doing still like in just the OTAs and stuff like that he's out at like. It still makes me like he's got to be a number one, right? He's got to be a wide receiver number one. Like I could still see it, and it's like I don't know if that's just my brain thinking back to old Sterling. Like you're right, Mike. Like I think that he's just kind of he's on that tail end of everything. But like he's a grinder, man, and I can see this guy being a contributor if he does stay healthy. Like I feel like Daniel does love him. Daniel goes back to him. Him and Slayton are kind of Daniel's like those are his security blankets, and so like it's like if Sterling Shepard's on the field. Like that Tennessee game was a shit show that first half, and he looked at Sterling Shepard when he panicked, and there were times where he had dudes in his face, and he just Sterling's right there. Okay, let's go with that. Like I think that Sterling Shepard just he gives you that sustainability, he gives you that like safety net that like be that safety net for the offense. Be that guy that even if you're not the starter, throw Sterling out there when you need to get the first down on third or whatever. Like he's that guy. Be that guy.
Yes.
Okay. I got. Maybe this might be our first mini debate.
Go for it. Just go for it.
Look, I love Sterling Shepard, and he's been a great Giant. And I believe he's the senior Giant, right? He's been on the team the longest.
Yes, he's the most tenured Giants player. Yep.
Right. I just have a gut feeling that when the training camp starts, we're going to be talking a lot about how great the wide receiver groups guys look. I think we're all going to be amazed. You know, I know we're hearing a lot of talk about, no one's impressed with who we picked up. I have a funny feeling these guys are going to show up. And I just don't know about how much snaps he's going to get to make a big difference. I don't know. Especially the position he plays, right? He's a slot now, right? He don't play outside anymore. So I just get a feeling that, if he has any kind of a nagging injury that's going to derail him, I think it's going to be the final one for him. I think it's going to be the end for him as a Giant player.
I feel that. Yeah.
I do think there's a lot of ways where the only way we see Sterling Shepard get to show that like he's still a guy like that is with their serious injuries to other guys, which you don't want. And that's kind of like the catch-22 of the whole thing.
That's right.
You want him to do well, but you also don't want other people to like not be available because of that.
Yes.
That's right.
Yes. Agreed. And look, I mean, everybody's saying in the comments too exactly what I said. Shep is very competitive as a football player. Mark, I can't elaborate on your exact statement there. Otherwise, I got to be careful what I say on air here. But
what does AF mean?
Well, true. You can't set me up for failure like that. My HR manager.
I'm so back in time. See, I have no idea.
I'll explain when we go off camera here.
Okay.
I try to be careful.
As Frick.
Yeah. Got it. Okay.
All right. So when Mark, and by the way, Mark is a great fan of the show. We love interacting with him all the time. He's competitive as Frick, right? So you can understand and insist there. No, regardless, yes. I mean, he's very competitive. He had a dad that was a coach at Oklahoma, I believe, for a long time. And he will one day be a great head coach of a football team, mark my words.
Yeah, possibility, sure.
All right, let's get on. Last wide receiver here. All I want to see out of this guy, Truth, is, out of Wan'Dale, is to come back and be that guy that Hardy was kind of proven to be at the beginning of the year. He's a very fast player, very difficult to cover for a lot of teams. And even if he himself is not getting the ball, he opens up the secondary a little bit for other players too. So I want him to continue to be that guy, be that force. And if there's one thing I love about the Giants wide receivers so far, it's that they're all very diverse in their skill set. Some guys are speed, some guys excel at the going deep, and some guys excel with the hands. Right? I love it. We have a diverse set of weapons. When Wan'Dale goes down, though, we lose that speed one, that short speed, yard after catch guy. Let me know your thoughts.
Well, this is Craig's favorite draft pick, as we all know.
Oh, yeah, he had a meltdown. We talked about this, right?
And I'll tell you, that was a classic night when that happened. But here's a guy that, I don't know when his timeline is, when he's going to be back healthy. I'm hearing different reports, so I don't know which is true. But here's a kid that if he comes back in shape and ready, and, it's going to be with him and Parris are going to be like sharing the slot. That's why I talked about Sterling Shepard. I mean, I don't know where you're going to play all these guys. And if anybody played sports, we all played sports, no matter what sport it was. And you got to have a rhythm. You got to play. You got to see the snaps, repetition to get in a groove and to play your best. And when you're not doing that, it's hard to get into the game. It really is. So, I want this kid to come back full strength because he showed us that game he got hurt what he's capable of doing. 9 catches, 100 yards, and he was catching everything thrown to him. So. Again, injuries is going to be big for the Giants. We all know how that goes for them in the history of the New York Giants with injuries. So if they can stay healthy, we're going to have a nice looking wide receiver group. That's what I feel.
Yeah. Truth, real quick, there's a comment here from Tudo. Truth is such a nice guy and innocent. He's never been in the trenches to learn the tricks. LOL. Italian.
I don't know about being in the trenches.
Yeah, guys, I don't know. I mean, innocent. I wouldn't want to mess with Truth if I really pissed him off, to be honest with you. Truth, I mean this with respect, but you look like you could have been a side character in The Sopranos, like a 6-episode character,
Yeah,
with a little arc and a kill or two. I don't know if you get that often. Maybe
I know people, but
well,
I was gonna say you may not be the guy, but you seem like you might know the guys.
Yeah, I know.
Exactly. But oh man! All right, back to the players. We're moving on from receivers, and we're moving along okay here, guys. I'm not gonna lie. We might have to do a part 2. If we did that, would that be okay? Save the defensive guys for later.
Cool with that. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna tell Greg to bug off of his own program next week, and we're just gonna come back. Let's go on to tight ends now. So I'm instead of Waller, I'm gonna start with Bellinger because I want to bring him up in a set that I think the goal for him should be: do not let Waller's presence get in the way of finding a role in the offense. Try to look for a way to develop yourself to be the 2007 Kevin Boss. That's what I want Bellinger to focus on. Obviously, he will not be the tight end 1. It's going to go to Waller. But, Alex, what are your thoughts on this?
One, he's got to find a shirt that fits him now because I don't know if you've seen how just jacked that guy's gotten in the offseason. I saw some stuff. Dude's turned around. I think he's like, I loved Kevin Boss. I think he can be better than Kevin Boss, man. Like the guy seems more athletic. The guy seems like he's a better blocker, I think, in so many ways. But then he's also able to kind of float and get off of off of the blocks a lot better than Kevin Boss was during his time. And then I saw some stuff from him from tight end U that he went to last week, and it's just like you're working with the best tight ends in the league. You're obviously going to get a little bit better no matter you're doing that. But he was with Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce said he was one of the most improved guys he saw in that whole camp that week, and that's pretty awesome. But I think that having Darren Waller be the guy that takes a lot of pressure off of you. I think there's going to be games where Daniel Bellinger has 2 touchdowns, has 50, 60 yards that we're just man, that guy he's going to be a dog for us because he's not got the expectation to be okay, well, the Giants don't have a tight end right now. Now everybody's going to be looking at Waller. You can throw a 2 tight end set right there. And I think Daniel Bellinger is going to shine this season in a lot of games. Maybe not every week in, week out, but there's going to be 2-3 weeks this season where we look back and those are the Daniel Bellinger games.
Yeah, and he's always been a red zone threat. Go ahead, Truth.
No. I was just going to say, keep in mind the way the Raiders used him too. They used him on the outside. They used Waller on the outside a lot. So, we're going to see 2 tight ends on the field. You won't see traditional tight ends where they're going to line up, but I agree with you guys. I think Bellinger is going to pick up. He's going to have a good second year in the NFL. He did a great job last year. He for a 5th round draft pick, was he not? That was an excellent draft pick for a 5th round.
Mm-hmm.
The way he put, and I think you're going to see a better Bellinger, and he's going to be a much better player as he gets more into the NFL. So I'm looking for good things from him this year. Yeah,
absolutely. He could still definitely contribute, and we run 2 tight end offenses a lot, especially in the red zone, and that's a specialty, right? If Waller's in the field, here's Bellinger's opportunity to really establish himself as reliable. Had a couple drops last year. Clean that up. Go out there. Continue to be that guy. He's definitely a winning contributing factor to the Giants right now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Since we already talked about him a little bit, Darren Waller. Listen, what I personally have for this guy, play a healthy 17 games. That's a major one, but like a legitimate football goal is, help Jones with these longer passes. We talked about Hyatt early doing the same thing, but we want a deep threat for Jones. Everybody complains that he didn't have that many yards last year, and I do understand that, but we didn't really have the wide receivers that could bring that level of talent to the offense. I think Waller can do this, and I'm looking forward to that. So, Truth, tell me your thoughts on Darren Waller that we haven't already discussed already.
Well, look, keep in mind, the minute or the second we traded for him, he became Daniel Jones' number one guy. He's going to be he'll be the number one target for Daniel Jones. And again, we talked about injuries. I know this guy has a history. If he can stay healthy, you're looking at a talented all-pro caliber tight end that we haven't had since Shockey, right? He's our last
all-pro. I think though. I will say Boston and Travis Beckham played relatively good though. Like we had good players at the tight end positions than Shockey, but all-pro Darren Waller would be the. Oh, wait a second.
They just weren't top tier guys.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Wait a second. We're forgetting something. You correct, Alex. What you said was absolutely spot on. Ingram was a Pro Bowl tight end.
Well, no, we don't count him.
I don't count that.
Come on.
We don't know how he earned that.
He's dead to me. He's dead to me. He's dead to me.
Yeah. We all know he wasn't an all-pro caliber. So, Darren Waller, we're gonna, Giants. If he plays the way he played in Oakland with the Raiders during his best times, Giants are gonna be a team that people need to be serious about.
Amen.
They really do.
Amen. He would be a formidable weapon on this team that could definitely get the Giants to that 11-6 mark. I have no doubt about it. Okay, all right, we're going to go into offensive lineman now. So this one's a little bit tough. Alex, this is going to go to you. It's kind of like when the best student in the class goes to the teacher and asks what they can be doing better, when it's like fail. Andrew Thomas can go from, in my opinion, just being all-pro. If he repeats it, he would have doubled up. He's on a clear-cut path for the Hall of Fame, and I want him to establish himself as that he is always going to be that all-pro level guy. Besides a couple years in and out here, be an elite contender that's going to be a part of the Giants forever, and we are going to remember and honor his Hall of Fame when he gets into the the class in 2040 or whatever the hell it is. I think he can establish himself as that guy, right? He's an elite offensive tackle.
Yeah.
I'd love to see what he can do, what he does. What are your thoughts?
I think you're putting a lot of pressure on the dude, man. No, I absolutely think he can do all of that this season. My goal for him is don't regress. Do not regress. Just be as good as you were last year or better. If he does exactly what he did last year, I'm super chill about that. That's awesome. Will not complain. Have last year again. Just don't do worse than last year.
Yes.
We're gonna be okay with him doing what he did last year again. I will be fine with that.
That's fine. No one's gonna complain. We'll come here next year and talk about it. In fact, if he did what he did last year, he's probably going to the Hall of Fame if he continues to.
Right, he'll keep going. Dude, the Hall of Fame's next. That's later. Don't be bad. 3 or 4 times more, and
we're good. We're good.
Yeah.
Yes. From Dan, our very own Dan. Stay healthy.
That's right. Stay healthy.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah. Don't not stay healthy. All right.
Real quick, Spartan. You touched on it. I think he does have more improvement. I think this kid could be elite. I think he was very good last year. I think he could be elite. Where down the road we're talking about him as a top 10 of all time. This kid's he's got a lot more in him. So Giants are fortunate to have him.
Let me say this. I already think that if he does this, a couple more times, he's the best Giants offensive lineman of this century, and that would be against Chris Snee, who would be, I think right now holds number 1. He could be that guy. He could be that guy.
I think so. I think the consistency is what you give Snee, but I think if you have to look at the talent, at their peak, I think that Andrew Thomas probably has the edge on it.
I'll tell you the truth. I think right now, I mean, I watch a lot of Giant football in my life. I think he's the top 3 left tackles in Giants history right now, even right now. So and he could probably – he's got a long way to go before he's the best overall. Roosevelt Brown.
Right. He needs a full career to beat.
Yeah.
But,
yeah, but he's on his way.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's go over to a guy that, now we're talking about one of those guys, and that, in my opinion, it's like, look, I think of Nick Gates, and I think of a lot of those 2000s Giants offensive linemen in terms of what Ben Bredeson's goal should be for this year. He's come from humble beginnings. He's already been with the Ravens. He was a 4th-round pick. He played last year. I think he played pretty good. So my goal for him is be a consistent, reliable offensive guard. He doesn't have to be the best ever, but just be like a guy that we plug in there. There's no questions if we have to, sure, we can improve, but we don't have to worry about it. He's not a liability. Be a formidable offensive guard when he goes out there next year. I think he can do it. Truth, you think he can do it?
Yeah, well, look, Alex made a great point about Thomas. Just do what you did last year, he said. That's a same thing for Bredeson. He had a very quiet, solid season last year when he played. He didn't allow any sacks when he played. If he just duplicates what he did last year, he'll be the primary left guard with Joshua Ezeudu on his tail.
Yes.
And that's a good problem to have, man. To have a guy and have the depth on your offensive line that we all know we haven't had in Giant land in a long time. So. Just do what you did last year. I'll be very happy if him and Ezeudu share that position and just anchor it down. That's fine with me.
Yeah. No, I can live with that if he can be that player. All right, now let's talk about a guy in another situation. John Michael Schmitz. This is what I want. Go out there and be like a day one starter, which obviously he's going to start day one, but bring starter level of talent. I want him to finish top 24 of the centers. I don't want him to go out there and have a project year like Evan Neal did. Go out there and just kind of deliver day one. I'm not expecting perfect, flawless offensive play, but make the all-rookie team. At least do that. You agree with that, Alex, or what are your thoughts on what his goals should be?
I do agree with that. I also think I think Evan Neal kind of had a problem with this his rookie year where you have the down period, you start off hot, you have the down period, and you kind of let that get to you. He's gonna have that. That's what all rookies do have. So just don't let that be consistent. Don't let it be more consistent, bounce back. And I think that there was a period in time where it was just Evan Neal just got stuck. And I don't know if that was just not being able to catch up to the speed of everything or what it was. But I feel I don't know. This guy, everything I've seen about this guy is I just expect him to be a Hall of Famer. I don't know why. Just everything we saw, how hyped we got about him. Just be consistent. Show that you're the starter that you got drafted to be.
Yes, and Chris D here is right. JMS at Senior Bowl called the most NFL-ready player. I think he's right. Listen, the Big Ten does linemen differently, except for Michigan State.
Yeah.
They never seem to produce any offensive linemen. But, it's the bread and butter of that conference is the development of those players, and JMS is the classic prototype of that.
Well, you had Mandridge, didn't you?
Yeah, he was the biggest plus in NFL history. Yeah, we had him. I'm familiar with him.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, it's just between Ohio State, Michigan, Iowa, Wisconsin, even Minnesota now, Illinois. Offensive line's the bread and butter. Now, Michigan State's had a lot of talent go through there in the last 15 years, but it's mostly all been defense. And it is weird. We never seem to have that prototype Big Ten offense.
Kirk Cousins.
What's that?
And Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins.
Right. Yeah, we went to the college football playoffs with 2 guys that got drafted that year. I'll never know how that happened, but I'm not complaining. That was a blast. Okay.
No, but I think he's gonna make the all rookie team, Spartan. I think you nailed it. I think he's gonna do it.
That's the goal. And first team. I don't want 4 centers and he's fourth. It's all right, well, sick. All right, Glowinski. Here's a dude where my expectation for him last year was a little bit better than what he did. I think he slightly regressed. He has good moments, but he's not consistent enough, and that's what I want. Just improve the consistency of his level of play, and that's all I really think it should be. Truth, do you agree with that, or what are your thoughts on what he should do for next year?
Well, I think he had a lot of issues last year because of the the inconsistency of Neal. I think that hurt him a lot. Not going to say he wasn't at fault in his own responsibilities, but he didn't have the same year he had with the Colts, which is why we went after him in free agency. If he can get close to that next year, this season, doesn't have to be an all-pro,
no,
but he can come close to it. The Giants are going to have a nice, solid offensive line.
Yeah, just be a solid, reliable guy. Where I think Mark had a good point here. You know, you don't want your number called. Don't. I don't want to look at the review tape and be like, God, Glowinski, what the hell are you doing? It's more like if something does go wrong, you see Glowinski's kind of just executing, and otherwise he's doing a lot to. You know, we're not talking about him a lot, like, oh, what a great contributor he is, but just like you don't want to hear his name almost. It's all you can. I hate to say it for these poor interior offensive linemen, but that's just what goes through my head. Just
you know something, Spartan, you just brought up a thing in my head. John Madden used to say, I remember this all the time watching when him and Pat Summerall used to be on the football games. He said an offensive lineman was doing his job, we don't hear his name called.
That's right. That's right.
And, it's so true.
You don't want attention as an offensive lineman. All right, so we were going to finish up with this guy. I'm actually going to finish up one more after this. We already talked about him a little bit. Number 15, Evan Neal. So, Alex, this is back to you. Here's my thinking. I want him to finish top 20 in tackles. 24 would be fine. If he finishes top 24, top two-thirds of the starting right tackles. At least get there. I'm never going to give up on a guy because Andrew Thomas came from, a long way to get to where he got to. And I think Evan Neal has it in him to be better.
Absolutely.
It's just a very quick, in my opinion, you go from an Alabama offense, you get drafted in April, you try to adjust to the NFL speed, the NFL playbook. He only has 5 months to do that. Well, now he's had a full year pretty much. And I think he understands what it takes. He's going to work with good offensive line, coaching. And he's also going to work with Andrew Thomas. And Andrew Thomas is going to be like, listen, here's what I would do better. And then, he's going to continue to work upon that. This should be fine. He should be fine in the long run. But, of course, there's a chance he's a bust. What are your thoughts on what his goals should be? How would you put it?
No, just take that next step. Don't I would say that go back to Glowinski too. I know that don't be the biggest question mark on this offensive line because that is what both of them are kind of fighting against each other for. Because I would take I trust Evan Neal more than I feel like I know what I'm going to get with Glowinski here because I feel like I expect him to take that next step up. I think he just take that next step up. Don't be the big question mark on the offensive line right there because that was all it was all season. Like, okay, well, we're going to get which Evan Neal are we going to get because he shows promise. He does show promise when he's delivering and it's just deliver. And I think that, you're right. He's had the full off season to get to work with Andrew Thomas, who we were just saying is going to be a Hall of Famer eventually. Like, obviously you're going to learn from that a little bit. I think he's going to take that next step, but don't be the question mark on this offensive line. Like that was what followed him around all season last year. Don't be that guy.
Listen, I'm sorry, but if he gets
the John Madden quote,
sure. If he gets that point, like I'm not really worried about the offensive line anymore. We can have lousy guards, or slightly subpar, which I think is at worst what we're going to deal with. But if we have two good tackles, a solid, smart center in JMS, and the guards, come together, we're looking at a very good enough offensive line to at least, in my opinion, win a Super Bowl. I'll just say it. That's how I feel.
I like that.
You can say it.
Yeah. I'm just going to say it.
Say it louder.
Yeah. Controversial opinion over here. Well, let's wrap up with one last player here. Josh Ezeudu. Truth, we're going to hand this right over to you. I'd love to see him come up through the ranks and be a starting offensive lineman, but I can't really put into words what my goal would be for him next year. How would you put it?
Well, look, he did show some positives last year. I think his run blocking was good, if I'm not mistaken. Again, he's going to be – that's the biggest competition on the offensive line, obviously. We're hitting Bredeson. And nobody has to be the unanimous winner in that, in my mind. If they can both play well and do their job, I'll be very happy with the platoon, sharing snaps, and contributing. Because nowadays, good teams, you just keep rolling out fresh guys, just like they do on the defensive line. You got to do the same with the offensive line. It's a tough game. You can't expect your guy to play 60 snaps on the line. It's grueling. So I think if he's fully healthy, I think he's going to take a step up. I like him. I didn't know much about him when we drafted him, but I like what I saw while he played last year.
Yep. I'm with you. I mean, he was making steps in the right direction, but now at this point, like, just go out there and assuringly and effectively do it on a consistent basis.
Look at basketball. You have that sixth man, right, that comes in and
right.
He's our sixth lineman. That's our guy. If he's the sixth lineman, that's fine. He could jump in and play left guard. He can go jump in and play right guard, and that's why he was drafted by Shane, because of his versatility. And that's what Shane likes about the lineman.
Yeah.
The one thing I wrote down was just make some other guys look over their shoulder. Like that's my goal for him. It was maybe I don't know if you don't got to be a starter or anything, but just be like, all right, well, hey, he's consistent, compete enough to make some other people be like, I better step it up, or else he's gonna be starting.
Yes,
I think you'll see that, Alice. I think you're right on that. I think you'll see that.
Look, the odds that our interior linemen stay healthy the way through, I mean, knock on wood, is relatively low, just given the stats of football. I think regardless, we're going to see him out there playing, right? So even if he's not the day one starter, he's going to rotate in, and then he can really earn his job.
Yep.
All right, guys. Well, look, we're going to wrap it up there. We're just going to call it. That was the offensive analysis. I didn't realize how much time it took to do each player, but I feel like I can talk for an hour on each guy.
Yeah.
So why don't we do this? We're going to table the defense. We may, as a unit, may or may not be back next week. We'll leave Craig to finish it up. But 41 minutes deep, tomorrow's a holiday. We have unionized here at New York Giants Rush against Craig, and we're going to have shorter airtime here. Just so, real quick, to everybody that tuned in tonight, first and foremost, happy 4th of July. Hopefully, you all enjoyed this long weekend. Truth, Alex, just thank you guys both so much. If you have any final thoughts, go for it now.
Yeah, Alex, you go first.
I just appreciate you guys for having me on, man. I love getting to talk Giants with everybody.
You're part of the crew, brother.
Yeah, and for me, I've been with the Rush for a while now, and I've seen a lot of guys come and go, and I really love and I love the guys we have now in this group, and it's the first time I worked with Alex, so I'm glad, and I want to continue this with everybody else. I haven't been with Andriana yet, so I'm looking forward to that one.
Yep, we got a great crew here at New York Giants Rush, and we're a growing family. So, again, guys, thank you all, and enjoy the stretch here, and God bless all of you and your families. Happy 4th, guys. Thank you. Good night.
Take care, boys.